What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today I'm excited to build none other than Mugen. I'm deciding on how I want to build it, so without further ado, let's get in the video and start some deck designing, shall we? So definitely Mugen's going to have a couple ways of deciding how to build it, and that's going to be where you have to make the decision and call on how do I want to personally build it. But first off, we know that it's an assembly build, so we have to take into what Mugen wants to do. So it's on play, when digivolving and when attacking, being able to place a level 5 cyborg or version 5 traded card from your hand or trash as this Digimon's top Digivolution card. Activate its on play effect, the place card as its effect of this Digimon. Not bad. There's some combinations and some gimmicks you can do with this, and we'll probably go over some of that. But all turns when this card would lead the barrier by trashing its bottom 2 face down cards or cyborg traded Digievolution cards, it does not leave. And it's got assembly 6. So being able to put forwards different cyborg traits with different names when this would be played by placing those specific cards from trash under it, reduce the play cost. So not bad. Mugen's also a very good upgrade to its counterpart. The only thing you have to worry about is DP minusing, but obviously we're going to play for this new card. Now, do we look at this? So File Island, all your DMs get a boost, makes them a little more challenging, but again, we're not going to be staying on Mugen for long. So I think all in all, we're not going to use that. But while you have a DM trait or Tamer on the field, you can ignore color requirements, draw a card, then place this card in the barrier. By placing one card, you know, being able to reduce, this gives us a little bit of a leeway that we didn't have. So I think we're going to use this as one of our main options this time around, since we're going to focus a little bit on DM, because we do have Analog Man. That's going to be another DM card. You know, any of that would be placed 7 or higher cyborg or machine traits are played by suspending this Tamer, draw a card, gain a memory. Then you may place up to 1 card from your hand face down as any of those Digimon's bottom Digievolution cards. That becomes the problem, right? I want to be playing, like, I think, to be honest with you, Youth might be what you want to be using for early game. So by placing 1 card from your hand as a face down of one of your DM traded Digimon, bottom Digievolution card, you know, starter main, being able to keep Mugen filled, not bad. And especially because Youth will give us free reboot, which again, I think we're going to tech in 3 of this, and then we're going to definitely do 3 Analog Man, just a combo in, and I'll say Analog Man, maybe 2 of this, because we're gonna really run into an issue and we're having way too many Tamers. But I think 3-3-2 is probably the way to go, especially because if we're gonna be playing how I think we're gonna be playing, let's see, Machinedramon. So first off, we're definitely playing Chaosdramon X, and then we are definitely playing, I think, 1 old Mugen and 3, maybe 2. We'll go 3 for now. So we're at 22 cards exactly for this deck. This becomes, now we have some targets that aren't going to be functional with our deck. We have to keep that in mind. This isn't a DM. These are DMs. He's a DM. Meat is a viable DM strategy because we are multicolor in nature. We could go black base, but the problem comes down to is that if we go black base focus, you lose out on Pengumon and a few other of the version 5 cards, which Machinedramon is version 0.5. So taking a look here, we have a lot going for it. We have, you know, Gazemon being able to search and get us a version 5 and a DM trait. So we might want to do this, especially with this as our starting engine. And then our champion lineup is definitely Raremon. This is huge because you definitely want to focus a little bit on that. Then you have Tuskmon. Being able to give raid to Mugen is huge. And then you do have, you know, Digimon, which is by placing one card face down as this bottom Digivolution, draw a card for its when attacking skill. So taking a look here, I think we kind of bring Tuskmon down too and go full on Digimon. So again, this card being able to manipulate stuff is huge. Being able to continuously draw is vitally important. Now this is where the challenge becomes, because the moment we fill up on the cyborgs is when we're going to see some trouble here. You know, when any of your level 5 traits would digivolve into this card for each of its face down, reduce the digivolution cost by 1 and its fortitude. On play, when digivolving, spend one of your opponent's Digimon. Then by trashing this Digimon's bottom face down Digivolution, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon. It's another valid target for the deck, and we're gonna probably think maybe want to go. We're gonna go at least 3 here. It's not bad. We have the raid inheritable version 5. Let's see what he says. A level 5 cyborg or version 5 traded card, level 5 version 5. So we are restricted to version 5, so we can't get Tuskmon underneath it naturally. So it might be this way we want to go about it. So 10 champions, 4 rookies. We have at least a starter and then a couple other starter points that can help us. So what are we going to be using here? Obviously, we want Metal Tyranno. Let's go to Cyborg family. Well, DM Cyborg to be precise. So we're definitely taking Androidmon for blocker. We're going to be taking Metal Mame. We'll take Metal Gray. And then we have everybody kind of else, right? Nope, we don't need Memamon, because Memamon can't be played in the deck even as much as I want it to be. So like the biggest issue comes down to is that you can shift between and then Machinedramon. So this makes it so awkwardly tight. This is where we're running into the problem that I even had with the original deck builds, was that, you know, we want to focus on the DM5s, and it means you have to build wonky into it, and a lot of players aren't big into that. I mean, we could sack, you know, Mr. DP minus. We can, you know, your ultimate lines minus Extradramon. We might have to bring Examon down, and then that lets us have more cyborg options. So let's double check this card. It's when digivolving when attacking. Definitely have to go up on this, bring this down. So there's some cute plays you can do, and I'm trying to, let's see, level 5. Excuse me. Level 5. So this should narrow this down a little bit. What the frig? Okay. So obviously we might want to play this Metal Greymon. It's kind of obvious there. And then we don't even have Attack of the Heavy Mobile in the list either. God, this list is even tighter than before. I mean, yeah, you do have the option to just slam down boys and go from there, but it's like, do you just want to do this? Do you want to do that? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? You know, there's so many good old-fashioned cards that are still fantastic. I mean, we get the raid inheritable from the boy, so we could just go this and make ourselves a little clunky, but not too clunky, you know? I mean, I'm gonna try to avoid monocolor as best as possible, because if we want to still just be like, you know, once we get the red black stuff, this deck becomes more versatile, right? Meat is great because DM traits are fantastic. I think Attack of the Heavy Mobile needs to be in the list as least as 2 for now. We have the natural reboot from Analog Youth. All your with face down Digivolution gains reboot, so we don't need to expend into reboot anymore, which was a big concern with a lot of our stuff. Piercing, we do have access to that innately now, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Metal Tyranno gives it. I think we want to have Metal Tyranno as is, but we also might want Supreme Connection as a backup Fallout plan. That means meat just gets taken out at that point, right? No, because we don't have access to all the colors that we want to just have consistency. Our Tamers are decent enough to keep that filled. There's just so many good cards for this, and this is where I run into an issue with this deck, that there's just way too many good cards. Like Pierce, we got Raid, which is a great inheritable, and we gain D-Digivolution on deletion, D-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. We gain Retail, and then we give Trash the Bottom Digivolution of one of your opponent's Digimon when attacking skills. So that does add up to be something nice. Do we want some Tamer hate? Yeah, I think being able to hate some of your opponent's Tamers is really great in the format and always will be. Cyborgs are a challenge and a half figuring out what ones you kind of want to have, but I think you definitely want one of this, just so that we can give ourselves a on-play protection skill, and then once we kind of cycle things back, it'll be really nice. One stack is going to die. Like, that doesn't matter. We don't care, because then we can just come back with, you know, big Mugen here, or even this Mugen, or any combination of Mugen's shenanigans. It'll be really solid. I mean, we don't... 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, this is just such the challenging, because the space is so tight, and we don't want to skip out, because again, if you're in a bad spot, you want to be able to still Digivolve, and that's why we're kind of keeping most of the DM stuff able to be in here and keeping anything extra kind of on the low end, right? I don't want to be stuck in a situation where I can't play the game how I want to. And I think we might just want to do this when one of your opponent's Digimon is deleted, gain a memory. This one might help out, especially because being able to gain 2 memory on a Mugen play might matter. And again, we get some benefits from the Analog Man that's going to set us to 3. We're going to get some definite benefits from, you know, gain Analog Youth. That'll just because we're focusing on this Mugen a lot more. What we could do is just say screw this Mugen, but I think having just being able to get this piece ready to go, so that once we get into Chaos Dramon X antibody and start fueling the daylights out of this thing constantly, and just having this Mugen here, I think this might be the best way of going about it. I think having Megadramon is a great target, because it'll let you Digivolve on the Tuscan Rare, and then we don't have to rely on Devidramon as much. The space is just stupidly tight. Stats wise, we are 9, 9, 8, 10 level 6s. Tamers and options is moderately high, but you want to have meat, because, you know, being able to play it down for 2, draw a card, means it's a decent opener if you don't have the rookies, and then you're basically set up so that, you know, by placing 1, you know, you can Digivolve up, which means if you open the line decently enough, you can be pretty set. I think this is probably our best shot at the list. I think Analog Youth and Analog Man are way too important, and being able to force redirect is always good. And then we kind of just have access to when an opponent's deleted by battle, trash the top security stack, and then we have this, you know, both of these will kind of eat away. I know we're used to having this OTK strat, but I think at the end of the day, you know, the inheritable, this one being able to unsuspend means we'll be able to deal 2 damage or attack into something twice, which means you'll at least remove this. And then if you have the piercing inheritable, you'll be decent enough. There, you know, you have Machinedramon by spending this Digimon, delete one of your Digimon with the lowest level, which can lead to keeping Chaosdramon X antibody on board and then trashing. So it does matter for the inheritable wise, because you'll be able to, if you swing into something, kill it, you'll answer most threats, right? Retail will help you in a way that we really didn't have before. So now we don't have to play a numbers game. We play, you know, we swing in, we'll survive regardless, but we'll retail the shit out of you. So I think at the end of the day, I would say I'm kind of happy with the list. What do you guys think? I mean, probably a lot of players will have, you know, different opinions on how to build Mugen, but I think what I like about it is that it's exactly how I would start it out with. You know, this is a starting point. This is, you know, Attack of the Heavy Mobiles in here so that you can win for game. You know, you have access to these great and powerful cards. Meat fixes a little bit of your issues in the first place. Being able to draw cards is one of the biggest issues, is just getting your pieces into your hand. Meat will help you there. So yeah, and then being able to reduce the Digivolution cost by 2 means that you can Digivolve up in the correct line as you want. You know, DMs for 3, this becomes a 1 cost, means you're in a good spot. You have basically a training in the deck. So I think confidently wise, you want to definitely focus on DM cards. And as long as this card exists on your field, it will always proc Meat. So you can always have this live. You know, that's the important part. I think we just need to be cautious on stuff. And I think the tightness of the list itself means that you could bring these down. A lot of players will probably be playing like, well, I want to have as many as before. You know, I want to make sure my Machinedramon always goes off. Well, I think you want to stack with Mugen this time around. Build up the first Mugen, and then when it's time, you go in, just kill them when its time is right. And you get to replay the Machinedramon with attack and just clear out house. With the abilities that it has from innate generation of the protections, you'll have ways of keeping this live longer. I know we're used to being able to go, you know, I want 2 Mugen stacks. Well, we kind of still are, because we need 5 here, 4 here. It's not bad. I think we could easily drop Chaosdramon down 1 and then add 1 more level 5 cyborg of any caliber that we would think would be beneficial. Maybe, you know, something that will Digivolve on either the black or red, because I want to be able to keep this live as best as possible. I don't want to be in a situation where, you know, we can't Digivolve correctly. You know, that's one of my biggest fears, is not being able to Digivolve correctly up. And if you can't, like, you're going to be stuck. This is very scary because you will brick yourself if you're not playing right. And I don't want people to brick themselves, is like that big issue there. I don't like bricking. I mean, Supreme Connection is great, don't get me wrong. Being able to add 1 card as another option is great, but because we don't have a black egg, Supreme Connection becomes less viable. And I don't want to be in less viable territory. It's not red and black. I want to be somewhere in the middle here. Red and black. I mean, once we get this is probably coming in because that extra security attack. You know what? We'll go with this. Alliance. Because if this procs at all, which it can, we'll now be able to, if we had a rookie out, promote it up while Mugen's just playing defensive wise. Alliance will now combo in with the piercing and will deal more damage. We'll get into magic number range. We'll have retail. We'll be able to, you know, on deletion de-digivolve and stuff. This all just snowballs in, right? So I think at the end of the day, I think this is what we want to do. I think keep these guys a little bit smaller because this is your hyper focus this time around. Because beforehand it was having the Mugins and climbing up. Chaosdramon was the main focus because Chaosdramon was the biggest threat that make your opponent have a bad day. But we're in a format where they can just remove by breathing. So we want to get into Chaosdramon X as soon as possible, but have access to all our Mugins. So I think, yeah, I think this is where I'm going. I'm gonna lock it in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that like button, the subscribe button. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.